They told me it's just family. Don't be dramatic. So I froze every payment. Next day, 39 missed calls, Mom screaming at my door. I had already covered $10,200 for their backyard, but my aunt... Can you imagine spending over $10,000 to create the backyard of your parents' dreams, pouring your heart and soul into making it perfect, only to be told you're disinvited from the very first family celebration held there? Because that's exactly what happened to me, and the betrayal cut deeper than any financial loss. It made me question everything I thought I knew about family. My name is Brooke Harrison. I'm 28 and a financial analyst in Boston. 4 years, I'd been the reliable one, the daughter my parents, Thomas and Margaret, always knew they could count on. Even though I'd lived on my own for ages, I dropped everything when they needed me. This backyard renovation, this massive gift, was supposed to bring us closer. Instead, it tore open wounds I didn't even know were there, revealing just how little they truly valued me. Growing up in suburban Massachusetts, my parents always had sky-high expectations. I was their achiever, the responsible one destined for success. My bedroom walls were practically wallpapered with honor roll certificates. I wasn't the most popular kid, but I was smart, determined, and I worked harder than anyone I knew. I studied late into the night, juggling part-time jobs just to save for college. When I earned a full scholarship to Boston University, they were proud, but frankly, a little unsurprised. It was expected. I graduated with honors in finance and walked straight into a job at a respected firm. But the moment I landed that first job at 22, the financial dynamic with my parents shifted. Suddenly, they saw me as a resource. It started small, helping with a water heater, chipping in for property taxes when money was tight, covering an insurance deductible. I never complained. They'd raised me. This was my way of showing gratitude. But those small requests became a pattern. My younger brother, Ryan, needed help with college. I covered it. Their car broke down. I put down the payment for a new one. Each time, the appreciation seemed to diminish. It went from profuse thanks to casual acknowledgement, then just expectation. Our family home in Lexington, that faded blue colonial, meant everything to them. Dad was always too frugal for proper updates, preferring patchwork repairs. But that backyard, that was my mother's dream space, full of unrealized potential. Ryan, 3 years younger, was always the favorite, even though no one would admit it. He's more outgoing, more willing to challenge my parents, less concerned with achievement. He's a high school gym teacher, happily married with a baby on the way. My parents adore him and give him a pass on financial contributions because he's starting a family. Then there's Aunt Diana, my mother's younger sister, who lives 30 minutes away and might as well be her clone. They talk daily, share every opinion, and Diana always reinforced my role as the responsible, helpful daughter. "Your parents are so lucky to have you," she'd say, almost immediately followed by reminding me of all the sacrifices they'd made for my success. My parents were nearing retirement, talking more and more about entertaining at home. My mother dreamed of hosting big family gatherings. The backyard, which had been nothing more than patchy grass and Dad's rusty grill for decades, became her obsession. Despite my professional success, I'd just gotten a substantial promotion to senior financial analyst and bought a condo. I still desperately sought their approval. I had financial flexibility now, even planning my first real European vacation in years. But then, during our weekly Sunday dinner, Mom started showing me Pinterest boards, string lights, stone patios, outdoor kitchens. And in that moment, I saw it. An opportunity to finally do something that would make them genuinely happy, something they wouldn't take for granted. "Mom," I offered, my heart swelling, "what if I helped you with this? My promotion came with a big raise, and I'd love to put some of it towards making this happen for you and Dad." Little did I know, that simple offer would lead to the most painful lesson of my adult life. The conversation that Sunday evening felt so innocent. Mom, finishing her famous pot roast, scrolled through tablet images. "Wouldn't it be wonderful to have a proper space for entertaining?" she sighed. "Your father and I aren't getting any younger. I'd love to host the family more often while we still can." Dad, ever the pragmatist, chimed in. "Dreams are nice, Maggie, but we're on a fixed income now. Those fancy setups cost a fortune." I saw the disappointment in Mom's eyes. After decades of putting everyone else first, she rarely asked for anything for herself. The backyard had been her unfulfilled dream for as long as I could remember. "What if we made it happen?" I suggested, my voice barely above a whisper. "I could help with the costs." My promotion came with a substantial raise. Their expressions transformed. Mom's eyes widened with pure excitement. Dad's financial worries instantly evaporated. Within minutes, they were discussing possibilities that had been off-limits moments before. A stone patio, built-in seating, a pergola, even an outdoor kitchen. "We could host the family reunion this summer," Mom exclaimed, beaming. Everyone could see the house looking its best for once. Dad was already calculating logistics. We'd need to start right away if we want to finish by July. The family anniversary party would be the perfect debut. I left that evening with a warm, hopeful feeling. Finally, I thought, I was doing something meaningful, something substantial, a dream fulfilled, not just another bill paid. The planning began in earnest. I took a day off work to accompany them to landscapers, collecting quotes, examining samples. Mom wanted natural stone. Dad insisted on quality. "Get what you love," I told them. "This is your dream space." We settled on evergreen landscaping. The initial design included a 500-square-foot natural stone patio, cedar pergola, built-in seating, lighting, and a small outdoor kitchen. The quote, $8,400. Reasonable. I met with John, the project manager, signed the contracts. I'd make the deposit, then progress payments. 6 weeks, he said. Completion mid-June. Perfect for the July celebration. As the project progressed, their demands grew with their excitement. Mom upgraded the lighting. Dad selected a premium grill. Each change incrementally increased the budget, but I approved them all. Seeing them so happy was worth every dollar. This timeline coincided perfectly with the planning for the family's 50th anniversary celebration, honoring my deceased grandparents. The extended Harrison family gathered every 5 years, and this year, my parents had volunteered to host. The new backyard would be its grand debut. I visited weekly, bringing lunch for the workers, discussing details with John. The space looked more impressive each time. The stone patio a work of art. The pergola, stunning. My excitement grew. I imagined family gatherings, casually mentioning, "Oh, I helped make this happen," and finally receiving acknowledgement. Perhaps this substantial gift would change the dynamic, proving I wasn't just the reliable daughter for financial help, but someone whose generosity deserved recognition and inclusion. But even during these visits, I started noticing things. Aunt Diana was often there, discussing party plans with Mom. They'd quickly change the subject when I approached. My questions about the party, menu, schedule, how I could help, were met with vague answers. "Still figuring out details," or "Nothing's finalized yet." I dismissed it. I was busy, often working 60-hour weeks. They were probably just avoiding burdening me. I couldn't have been more wrong. As May turned to June, the renovation transformed the neglected backyard into a magazine-worthy oasis. My pride swelled with each visit. "Your parents must be thrilled," John remarked one morning. "Not many children invest this much." I beamed. "They've done so much for me. It's nice to give back." The anniversary celebration remained a frequent topic at Sunday dinners. Mom would mention calls with relatives, who was coming from how far. But my questions about specific plans grew increasingly evasive. "Don't worry about those details," Mom would say. "You're doing enough with the backyard. We don't want to burden you." One Sunday, I arrived to find Ryan and Melissa already there. They quickly changed the subject when I entered. I caught something about seating arrangements. "What about seating arrangements?" I asked casually. "Oh, nothing important," Mom replied. Later, I pulled Ryan aside. "Is everything okay? I feel like I'm being left out." He looked uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact. "I'm sure they're just trying not to stress you out." The pattern continued. Hushed phone conversations ending abruptly when I entered a room. My parents became secretive about their planning notebook. Aunt Diana was at the house more frequently, exchanging glances with Mom. Meanwhile, project costs climbed. The $8,400 estimate was now over $9,000. Then Mom wanted additional landscaping, flowering shrubs, perennial beds. "It looks too harsh with just the patio," she explained. This pushed the budget to $9,800. I approved it without hesitation. Their excitement seemed genuine. My workload intensified. 14-hour days were normal. Yet, I still made time for the renovation. One evening, exhausted, I got a text from Mom. Another upgrade request. Specialty outdoor furniture, nearly $1,000 more. It would complete the space perfectly, she wrote. I hesitated, thinking of my postponed European vacation. But then I imagined their happiness. Go ahead and order it, I texted back. I want everything to be exactly as you've imagined. The total now stood at $10,200. Far more than I'd planned. But I told myself it was worth it for the recognition, the appreciation I'd receive. In retrospect, the signs were all there. The hushed conversations, the evasive answers, Ryan's discomfort. But I was too busy, too hopeful, too desperate to finally earn their genuine appreciation to see what was happening right in front of me. The final payment was made in mid-June, just as the project finished. The transformation was remarkable. It's perfect, Mom said, tears in her eyes. Better than I ever imagined. Dad, not usually emotional, put his arm around me. You did good, Brooke. Really good. In that moment, the money, the time, the effort, it all felt worth it. Finally, I had done something that truly mattered to them, something they couldn't dismiss. I was completely unprepared for what would happen next. The betrayal came 2 days later, on a Saturday morning. I was enjoying a rare, leisurely breakfast when my phone rang. Aunt Diana. Brooke, honey, she began, her voice casual. I wanted to check about the guest list for the anniversary party. Your mom mentioned you might be bringing someone. No, I replied, confused. I'm not seeing anyone seriously right now. Mom knows that. Oh. Aunt Diana paused. Well, that simplifies things, I suppose. What do you mean? Another pause. Longer this time. Well, I thought you knew. The celebration is just going to be immediate family. Your parents, Ryan and Melissa, me and Uncle Jim, and your grandparents from your dad's side. My coffee mug froze halfway to my lips. What are you talking about? This is a family reunion. Everyone's coming. Oh no, honey. That's in September at the lake house. This is just a small dinner to mark the actual anniversary date. Very intimate. My mind raced. But the backyard renovation, it was specifically for hosting the family celebration in July. That's what we've been planning for months. Well, yes, they'll certainly use the new backyard for that too. But the July dinner is just immediate family. I assumed you knew. You're so busy with work, and your parents didn't want to burden you with attending something so small when you've already done so much with the renovation. The realization hit me like a physical blow. I wasn't invited. I had spent over $10,000 creating a beautiful entertainment space for a celebration I wouldn't be attending. So let me get this straight, I said slowly, my voice strangely calm despite the storm building inside me. I've paid for the entire backyard renovation, so my parents can host a family dinner that I'm not invited to. Oh, Brooke, when you put it that way, it sounds terrible. Of course, they appreciate everything you've done. It's just that with Ryan and Melissa expecting, and the grandparents getting older, they wanted something very small. I'm sure they meant to tell you. Maybe they assumed I had already mentioned it. How long have you known about this immediate family-only plan? I asked, my voice now tight with controlled anger. Aunt Diana hesitated. Well, since they started planning it a couple of months ago, I suppose. The timeline was clear. They had known from the beginning, even before I offered to fund the renovation. My parents had deliberately kept me in the dark while accepting thousands of dollars for a space they planned to enjoy without me. I have to go, I said abruptly. Brooke, honey, don't be upset. I'm sure your parents meant to. I ended the call. For several minutes, I sat motionless. The revelation washed over me. Every evasive answer. Every hushed conversation. Ryan's discomfort. It all made sense now. I called my mother. No answer. I called my father. Straight to voicemail. I sent a text to both. Just spoke with Diana. Is it true I'm not invited to the anniversary dinner in the backyard I paid for? 20 minutes later, my father's response appeared. Don't be dramatic. It's just a small family dinner. We'll celebrate with everyone in September. Don't be dramatic. The dismissal stung worse than the exclusion itself. No apology. No acknowledgement of how hurtful their actions were. Just a minimization of my feelings. I checked social media and found Aunt Diana had already posted about the intimate family celebration, tagging my parents, Ryan and Melissa, my uncle, and even my second cousin, Teresa. Not immediate family only. Just Brook-free. The betrayal was complete. I had been intentionally misled by the people I trusted most, the people whose approval I had spent my entire adult life seeking. I had sacrificed my own plans, postponed my European vacation, and spent thousands of dollars to create a beautiful space for a celebration, where I wasn't welcome. For the first time, I allowed myself to feel the full weight of how my parents had treated me, not just in this instance, but in a pattern stretching back years. I was good enough to provide financial support, good enough to solve problems, but not good enough to include. I sank to my kitchen floor and did something I hadn't done since childhood. I cried. Deep, racking sobs that came from a place of profound hurt and betrayal. For nearly an hour, I let the emotions flow, acknowledging years of seeking approval that was never fully given. When the tears finally subsided, something else emerged from the hollow ache in my chest. A quiet, steady resolve. A determination that this would be the last time I allowed myself to be treated this way. I picked myself up, wiped my eyes, and began to formulate a plan. I spent the rest of Saturday in a fog of hurt and disbelief, cycling through disappointment, anger, and sadness. My phone remained silent. No calls from my parents. By Sunday morning, a new clarity had settled. I called my closest friend, Natalie. "They did what?" she exclaimed. "Brooke, that's beyond inconsiderate. It's cruel. I keep wondering if I'm overreacting," I admitted. "Dad said not to be dramatic." "Classic gaslighting." Natalie replied firmly. "You spend over $10,000 on a renovation for a party you're not invited to. That's not being dramatic. That's having a normal human reaction to being used." Hearing it framed so bluntly helped. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a deliberate choice. "What are you going to do?" Natalie asked. "I'm still figuring that out," I said. "But I know one thing. I'm done being taken for granted." After our call, I pulled up my financial records. I had made 3 installments to Evergreen Landscaping. The initial deposit, a mid-project payment, and the final payment just days ago. The project was complete, but I knew from John, the project manager, that there were still outstanding payments to subcontractors. I also remembered the $1,200 maintenance agreement I'd set up, a prepaid account held in escrow. Untouched. I researched my legal position. I had signed all the contracts as the financially responsible party. While the work was on their property, I was legally entitled to modify or cancel any outstanding financial arrangements. The decision crystallized. I would not allow this pattern to continue. For years, I had given without boundaries. This time would be different. I drafted a careful email to John at Evergreen. "Due to unforeseen circumstances, I need to discuss modifications to our payment arrangements for the Harrison project. Please call me at your earliest convenience regarding the outstanding subcontractor payments and the maintenance fund." Then I sat back, considering the fallout. My parents would be furious. Family relationships might be permanently altered. But for the first time, I found myself prioritizing my own emotional well-being over their expectations. John called within the hour. "Is there a problem with the work, Brooke?" he asked, concerned. "The work is perfect," I assured him. "This is a personal matter. I need to know what payments are still pending and whether they can be canceled." John explained that the final electrical and irrigation payments, totaling about $1,800, were scheduled to process on Monday. The $1,200 maintenance fund was separate. "I need to cancel those pending payments and freeze the maintenance fund," I said, my voice steady. "Can that be arranged?" After a brief explanation about a family disagreement, John reluctantly agreed to hold the payments. He'd need written confirmation. "The maintenance fund can be frozen." "No problem," he added. "Those services haven't started yet." I thanked him and sent the official request. A total of $3,000 would not be released. Next, I composed a brief, factual text to my parents. "I've canceled the remaining contractor payments and frozen the maintenance fund for the backyard. Since I'm not considered immediate family for the celebration, I no longer wish to financially contribute to it. We should talk when you're ready to have an honest conversation. I hesitated, my finger hovering over the send button. This would cross a line that couldn't be uncrossed. For a moment, I considered backing down, falling into the familiar pattern. Then I remembered my father's dismissive text, "Don't be dramatic." I pressed send. Setting the phone down, I felt a strange mixture of anxiety and liberation. For perhaps the first time in my adult life, I had established a clear boundary. I had prioritized my own emotional health over their expectations. The sensation was terrifying and exhilarating. I spent the rest of Sunday mentally preparing for the confrontation. I made notes about patterns, instances where I'd been taken for granted. I rehearsed calm responses to the emotional manipulation I anticipated. Most importantly, I clarified what I needed going forward: acknowledgement, respect, and a relationship based on mutual consideration. When no response came that evening, I realized they might be ignoring my message, hoping I'd back down, or strategizing. I slept fitfully. By morning, I resigned myself to a longer standoff. I went to work, determined to focus on a major client presentation. As I left my condo at 7:30 a.m., I had no idea that by the time I returned that evening, everything would have changed irrevocably. Monday was a blur of client meetings. I'd silenced my personal phone, letting work be a welcome distraction. It wasn't until 6:45 p.m., gathering my things, that I finally checked my messages. The screen displayed 39 missed calls, 15 from Mom, 12 from Dad, 7 from Aunt Diana, 3 from Ryan, 2 from my uncle. Voicemail boxes were full. Texts numbered in the dozens, their tone evolving from confusion to anger to desperate pleas. Mom's text started with disbelief. "What do you mean you canceled payments? Call me immediately." They progressed to anger. "This is completely irresponsible. The contractors are calling us. Fix this now." Finally, desperation. "Please, Brooke. We need to talk. I'm coming to your place." Dad's messages were more direct. "You've crossed a line. The contractors are threatening liens on our property." Ryan's were the most measured. "Mom and Dad are freaking out. Whatever happened, maybe we can talk through it." I took a deep breath. Rather than responding, I headed home. A confrontation was inevitable and imminent. As I pulled into my condo's parking garage, I spotted my mother's silver Volvo. My stomach tightened. This was happening. As the elevator doors opened on my floor, I heard it. Mom's voice, echoing down the hallway, calling my name, her fist pounding on my door. "Brooke Elizabeth Harrison. I know you're getting home around now. Open this door immediately. We need to talk about what you've done." I paused, observing. My mother, usually so conscious of appearances, was creating a scene in my upscale building, her hair disheveled, her expression frantic. Dad stood a few paces behind her, arms crossed, his face set in that stern expression I'd known since childhood. I could have announced my presence, but something made me wait. I wanted to observe this unfiltered moment, to witness how they behaved when they thought no one was watching. After nearly 5 minutes, I finally approached. Dad noticed me first, touching Mom's arm to halt her shouting. "Finally!" Mom exclaimed, turning. "What have you done?" "The contractors called this morning, saying payments were canceled. They're threatening to put liens on our house." I maintained a calm demeanor as I moved past them to unlock my door. "We should continue this conversation inside." Once the door closed, Mom erupted again. "How could you do this to us after everything we've done for you? The contractor said you froze all the remaining payments and the maintenance account. Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is?" "I think we should all sit down," I said, gesturing to the living room. "I don't want to sit down," my mother snapped. "I want you to fix this mess you've created. Call the contractors right now and tell them it was a mistake." I looked directly at her, then at my father. It wasn't a mistake. I made a decision based on new information. "What information?" my father demanded. "That I spent over $10,000 renovating your backyard for a family celebration I'm not invited to." My mother's expression flickered between anger and discomfort. "Did Diana call you? This is ridiculous. It's just a small dinner, not the main event." "That's not how you presented it when I agreed to fund the renovation," I countered. "You specifically said it was for the family anniversary celebration, which I naturally assumed I'd be part of." "You're blowing this completely out of proportion," my father interjected. The September gathering is the main event. This is just a small dinner with everyone except me, I said quietly. Ryan, Melissa, Aunt Diana, Uncle Jim, Grandma and Grandpa Harrison. Even Cousin Teresa, according to Facebook. Everyone but your daughter who paid for the backyard you'll be enjoying. A knock interrupted us. When I opened it, Ryan stood in the hallway, looking uncomfortable. I thought I might be needed, he said, stepping inside. The dynamic shifted with Ryan's arrival. My mother moderated her tone, though her anger remained. Ryan, talk some sense into your sister. She's canceled payments because she's upset about not being invited to a simple family dinner. Ryan's eyes met mine, and I saw something unexpected, understanding. Actually, he said slowly, I can see why Brooke would be hurt. I was uncomfortable with the plan from the beginning. My mother looked betrayed. What are you talking about? Mom, you and Dad accepted thousands of dollars from Brooke for a backyard specifically for hosting family events, then planned the first event without her. That doesn't seem right to me either. The room fell silent. My father shifted uncomfortably. My mother's expression hardened. So you're both against us now, she finally said, after everything we've done for you both? And there it was. The familiar refrain. The implicit obligation. This isn't about being against you, I said calmly. It's about recognizing a pattern that's been happening for years. I contribute financially whenever asked. I put your needs before my own. I seek your approval. And still, when it comes down to it, I'm excluded from immediate family gatherings. You're being ridiculous, my mother insisted. We never asked you to pay for the backyard. You didn't have to ask, I replied. You knew I would offer once you showed me how much you wanted it. Just like you knew I would cover Ryan's college expenses and the down payment on your car and countless other things over the years. Ryan looked surprised. You paid for my senior year tuition? Mom said that came from their savings. Another uncomfortable silence. We should focus on the immediate problem, my father finally said, his practical nature asserting itself. The contractors need to be paid. They're threatening legal action. The remaining balance is $3,000, I stated. You can cover that yourselves if the celebration is so important. I've already contributed over $7,000. We can't just come up with $3,000 out of nowhere, my mother exclaimed. I managed to come up with $10,000, I replied evenly. And I was planning a vacation with that money before I offered to help with your backyard. My father's expression shifted. We could postpone the dinner until September, he mused, combine the celebrations. Thomas, my mother looked shocked. Everything is arranged. People are coming from out of town. Then include Brooke, Ryan suggested. That was the original understanding anyway. My mother's resistance was telling. It's too late to change the plans now. It's not about the dinner anymore, I said quietly. It's about years of being treated as a financial resource rather than a daughter. It's about finally recognizing my worth and setting boundaries. Boundaries? My mother scoffed. Is that something your therapist taught you? We're family. There aren't supposed to be boundaries. That's exactly the problem, I replied. You expect unlimited access to my resources, financial, emotional, practical, without offering the same in return. You exclude me when it's convenient, but expect me to contribute without question. Ryan moved to sit beside me on the couch, a physical show of support that nearly broke my composure. She's right, Mom. You and Dad do treat Brooke differently. You expect more from her and give her less credit. My father, ever the pragmatist, saw the conversation veering from the immediate financial issue. What exactly do you want, Brooke? For us to pay you back? I don't want repayment, I said, meeting his gaze steadily. I want acknowledgement. I want respect. I want to be treated as an equal member of this family, not just the reliable daughter you call when you need something. My mother's anger seemed to deflate slightly, replaced by defensive confusion. We've never treated you as less than family. Everything we've done has been for you kids. Then why exclude me from a family celebration? Why accept thousands of dollars for a renovation I wouldn't be invited to enjoy? For the first time, my mother had no immediate retort. She looked to my father, who was uncharacteristically silent. Ryan filled the gap. I think we all need to acknowledge that there's been a pattern here. Brooke has always been expected to be the responsible one, the achiever, the provider. I've benefited from that too, and I haven't always appreciated it. The admission from my brother opened something in the room, a possibility for honest conversation that had never existed before. "I don't want to damage our family," I said, my voice softer now. "But I can't continue in the same pattern. I need things to change." My father finally spoke. "What specifically needs to change, Brooke?" It was the first time he had asked what I needed rather than telling me what was expected. "I need my feelings to be considered. I need to be included as true family, not just when it's convenient or when something is needed from me. I need acknowledgement of my contributions rather than expectation. And I need you both to recognize when you're treating me unfairly." The room fell silent as my parents absorbed these requests. They seemed simple, almost obvious requirements for any healthy relationship. Yet, they represented a fundamental shift. "And the contractors?" my father finally asked. "I'll release the maintenance fund," I conceded. "But the final payment should come from you. Consider it your investment in the celebration you're planning." My mother started to protest, but my father placed a hand on her arm, silencing her. "That seems fair," he said, surprising everyone in the room. "We should have been transparent about the celebration plans from the beginning." It wasn't a full acknowledgement of a larger pattern, but it was a start. Perhaps the first time my father had conceded any wrongdoing in my adult life. As the confrontation wound down, tentative plans were made. My parents would cover the remaining contractor payments. The celebration would be reconsidered, though no firm commitments were made about my inclusion. But something fundamental had shifted. For the first time, I had stood my ground without backing down, and my family had been forced to listen. As they prepared to leave, Ryan hugged me tightly. "I'm proud of you," he whispered. "This has been a long time coming." My mother remained stiff and distant, struggling to adjust to this new reality where her reliable daughter had established boundaries. My father, ever practical, seemed to be calculating the implications. But as I closed the door behind them, I felt a profound sense of relief and clarity. Whatever came next, I had finally advocated for myself. I had named the pattern that had shaped our relationships for years, and I had taken the first step toward building something healthier. The confrontation had been painful but necessary. Now the real work of reshaping our family relationships could begin. The days following the confrontation were eerily quiet. No calls from Mom, no check-ins from Dad. The silence was both unsettling and liberating. I focused on work, poured my energy into the client presentation, which was accepted, bringing a significant new account to our firm. In the past, I would have immediately called my parents. This time, I celebrated with colleagues, toasting success without family complications. The first contact came unexpectedly from Ryan. He invited me to lunch. "How are you holding up?" he asked once we were seated. "Better than expected," I admitted. "It's strange not having the usual family check-ins, but also peaceful." Ryan nodded. "They're struggling with it. Mom especially. I don't think she's ever had to consider your perspective before." "Have they said anything about the celebration?" "That's partly why I wanted to meet," Ryan said, looking uncomfortable. "They've postponed it. Dad told everyone there were landscaping issues that needed to be resolved." I couldn't help but laugh at the irony. Well, he's not wrong. "Listen, Brooke." Ryan leaned forward, his expression serious. "I need to apologize for my part in all this. I've known for years that they treat us differently, and I've benefited from it without ever acknowledging it. Even with the tuition, I had no idea you covered my senior year." His sincerity touched me. "You were just filling the role assigned to you, same as I was." "Maybe, but I could have spoken up sooner. I'm sorry it took this blow-up for me to support you." This unexpected alliance with my brother felt like the first positive outcome. We talked for nearly 2 hours, comparing experiences. Ryan admitted feeling less pressure to achieve, but more dismissed when he did accomplish something. I confessed the exhaustion of being the reliable one, always putting family needs first. "They're not bad people," Ryan concluded, "just set in patterns they've never had to examine." "I know," I agreed. "I don't want to lose my relationship with them. I just needed to be healthier." The first direct contact from my parents came the next day, a text from my father asking to meet calmly at their house. I agreed, suggesting Sunday afternoon. Driving to their home felt like visiting a familiar place that had somehow been fundamentally altered. The house looked the same, but my relationship to it had changed. Dad answered the door, his greeting awkwardly formal. He led me to the kitchen where Mom sat, her posture stiff, eyes showing recent tears. "We've been doing some thinking since our discussion at your place." My father finally broke the silence. I waited, allowing him to continue. "I want to apologize," he said, the words clearly difficult for him. "Not including you in the celebration while accepting your financial contribution was wrong. I should have seen that." The directness of his apology surprised me. "Your mother and I have talked at length about the patterns you mentioned. I can't say we agree with everything you said, but we recognize that we've perhaps taken your generosity for granted." My mother remained silent, eyes fixed on her clasped hands. "Mom," I prompted gently. She looked up. "I don't understand why you're so angry. Everything we've ever done was for you and Ryan. We never asked you to give us money." "You didn't have to ask directly," I explained. "The expectation was clear, and I wanted to help. That's not the issue. The issue is being treated as a resource rather than a daughter. Being excluded from a family event after contributing so much to make it possible." "We didn't mean to hurt you," she insisted. "I believe that," I acknowledged. "But impact matters more than intention. And the impact was hurtful." Another silence fell, less tense now. "We've postponed the celebration," my father said eventually. "We're planning to combine it with a September gathering. Everyone will be there, including you, of course." It was a practical solution, typical of my father, but it was a start. "I appreciate that," I said. "But this isn't just about one event. It's about our relationship moving forward." "What do you want from us, Brooke?" my mother asked, an edge of frustration in her voice. "I want what everyone wants from family: love, respect, consideration. I want my contributions to be appreciated rather than expected. I want to be included rather than taken for granted." My father nodded slowly. Those seemed like reasonable requests. My mother's resistance was softening. "I still think you overreacted with the contractors." "Perhaps," I conceded, but it was the first time I'd set a boundary instead of simply giving in. I'm not proud of how it happened, but I don't regret standing up for myself. We talked for nearly 2 hours, covering ground we had never explored. There were difficult moments, defensive reactions, but also breakthroughs, acknowledgments of long-standing dynamics. By late afternoon, we had reached a tentative new understanding. My parents agreed to be more mindful of how they treated me compared to Ryan. I promised to communicate my feelings directly. We all committed to working toward a healthier dynamic. As I prepared to leave, my mother finally offered the words I had been waiting to hear. "I'm sorry we hurt you, Brooke. I never saw how our actions might make you feel excluded or used. I just thought that's what family does for each other." "Family does support each other," I agreed. "But it should go both ways, and it should include everyone equally." She nodded, squeezing my hand briefly before turning away, emotions clearly overwhelming her. The following weeks brought subtle but significant changes. My mother called just to check in, without requests. My father sent a heartfelt email thanking me for making us see what we couldn't see ourselves. Ryan and I spoke more frequently. The September celebration was genuinely inclusive. My father publicly acknowledged my contribution to the backyard, raising a toast to my generosity and vision. My mother included me in the planning, seeking my input. Most importantly, I attended as a valued family member, not merely the reliable daughter who had funded the venue. The physical space that had been the catalyst for our conflict became the setting for a new beginning. In the months that followed, our family relationships continued to evolve. There were occasional slips into old patterns, requiring gentle reminders. But the fundamental dynamic had shifted. I had established boundaries that were increasingly respected. My parents had begun to see me as an adult with legitimate needs and feelings, rather than simply a resource. For my part, I learned that standing up for myself didn't have to mean cutting ties. It meant having difficult conversations, weathering uncomfortable emotions, and committing to building healthier relationships. The European vacation I had postponed finally happened the following spring. A gift to myself for having the courage to change long-standing family patterns. From a cafe in Paris, I sent my parents a postcard with a simple message. "Thank you for learning and growing with me. Love, Brooke." The journey wasn't over. Family dynamics built over decades don't transform overnight. But we had taken the crucial first steps towards something healthier, more balanced, and ultimately more loving. As I reflect on this experience, I realize that sometimes the most profound gifts we can give ourselves are boundaries, self-respect, and the courage to disrupt unhealthy patterns, even when it's uncomfortable. True family means mutual respect, consideration, and love, not one-sided giving or taking for granted. Honestly, this whole experience changed me. It was incredibly painful, but also incredibly freeing. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to draw a line with your family, even when it felt impossible? What did you do? I'd love to hear your stories and thoughts in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, please give this video a like and subscribe for more stories about navigating tough family dynamics. Remember, setting healthy boundaries isn't selfish. It's necessary for authentic relationships to flourish. Thank you for listening to my journey, and I wish you courage in your own.